Richard, and we have a very special guest join us today, John Ferguson, and his good companion R2D2 from Starwars.
So thanks so much, guys. Thanks for tuning in, and thanks for joining us. Can you hear us, John?
Yep, I got you loud and clear. Nice to see you guys.
Excellent. And
Awesome.
yes, like, share, subscribe, and comment as much as you want. This is a pretty informal live stream, but yes, we're very lucky to have R2 and John, the master builder, here with us. And yes, I guess what we should say to the audience is just introduce yourself there, John, and say a bit about your builds and stuff. Yeah.
Okay. Well, hi. Thanks for having me on the show. This is super fun. So let's see. I live in Auckland, and I have a passion for making droids and robots and things like that. And that started in COVID, and my youngest son and I embarked on a pretty ambitious project of creating a full-size operational R2D2. Been a lot of joy, and we've learned just a huge amount of stuff around 3D printing, electronics, and software, and now we get to take R2 on all sorts.
Cool. Nice. Cool. Wow. Exciting. That is pretty cool. Man, yes, it was very cool to meet you at Creality Share Fest. That's where we caught up, wasn't it?
That's right. That was a good afternoon.
That was a good day.
And you can check out that interview in the description, but you can also check it out at I think we did it. Is it called Creality Share Fest NZ? I think we do it on the episodes, so you can check it out, and you can see when we met John for the very first time.
Yeah,
that's right. And cool. I ended up walking away with that printer, but I got to swap that for a scanner, which
oh, nice.
Made me happy. One of the guys had a scanner, and he wanted a printer, so we did a swap. So that was
nice.
A happy ending.
Which scanner did you get?
Right? It was the Raptor.
Nice.
So it took me a little while to sort it out, to update the firmware. But no doubt that'll come in handy at some point.
Oh, definitely.
Oh, we've got a question here from Zombie Hunter. He says, "What system are you running on R2?" Yeah, what system are you running?
Okay, so when we were building with the Nano Jetsons, the NVIDIA chip, and building code to have R2 based on that, and this is pre-GPT and generative AI, and we had the code so that the system could recognize objects and speak objects. Of course, having him speaking, but we learned a lot in that process. Now we have R2 basically is run by board, and it's Arduino code on that.
Yeah,
and
very cool.
Then there would be maybe 5 or 6 other little Arduino boards inside there running the lights, and he's also when I get finished, all his panels and his head open up, and I'm building the dome mechanism as well.
Okay.
You know, the periscope and the launcher and all of that. So that has additional little Arduinos that run all that, and it all connects back to an Xbox 360 controller, which is just a really good way to control. You know, you've got one joystick for the dome, you've got another one for the motor control, and then you can cycle through the various sounds, and it just gives you a secure Bluetooth connection.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's good to make it simple in the end. So the result is exactly what you want. So that's great.
Very cool.
Yeah. And I've also got a chat pad that plugs into this. And so then you've got alphanumeric keys that you can key. So when I've done all the dome mechanism, I'll do something like P for periscope, you know. The periscope will come up and down. A lot easier way to, you know, control a lot of different things. And that'll be very useful with Wally, because Wally has so much animation, you know, his head, the eyes move up and down. The lenses in the eyes move. He's got the eyebrows. Then he's got the full sort of 360 turn and the tilt. So you need to have quite a lot of, you know, animation control for Wally. So we'll use the same system, I think, for him.
That sounds exciting.
That's really cool.
Very cool.
It's quite technical. Do you follow when you put these guys, like say Archie together? Do you follow like a plan that somebody else has done, or do you take inspiration from different?
Good question. So with R2, when we first decided that we were going to build one, I explored you know, the how-to. Now there's an R2 Builders Club that's been going on for maybe 20 years in the States. Well, it's global, and they have all the files.
Yeah.
I chose to do the 3D printing way to go because you can control your production, right? And he spent a good amount of time cutting up the files, preparing them for 3D printers, and then testing how to put them together.
Nice.
And he made some pretty good instructions for how to excuse me, how to put it together. But what happens is the instructions are sort of, excuse me, a baseline for how to do it, but you always have additional questions. So the Facebook site was amazing in that you could put your questions on the Facebook group site, and someone who was ahead of you in the build would help you. And as you progressed, you would then help the guys behind you. So you got this really neat community of people all around the world that you actually got really friendly with and got to know as you did the journey as well. So with R2, I think there's at any point in time maybe 300 or 400 builds going on at a time.
Nice.
Hey, Owen. Owen's joined us there, John.
Yeah, Mike Owen that we met at.
Mike Owen just joined the chat.
Yeah, very cool. Oh, nice.
Mike's doing the Wally as well. We're sort of at the same or a similar stage with the Wally, so we're going to share what's working and what easier for each other, I hope.
Yeah, very cool. Because you're going to Armageddon, is it this weekend? I think it's this weekend.
Yes, I'm going to go on Sunday morning for a few hours. We'll take R2 there.
Nice. So those viewers that are watching, Armageddon kind of like the equivalent of New Zealand's Comic-Con, that kind of thing.
Yes, it's the winter edition. And we do have a question down the bottom. Zombie Hunter says, John, are you in the Australian R2 Builders Club? He wants to know.
I might be on the Facebook site, I think. Yeah. Nice. I think I joined as many as I could. It just made sense. So you could questions, right? And see how they were building. You know, these projects are information intensive. You know, you've really got to be absorbing a lot constantly to make life easy.
Yeah, absolutely. And R2 is quite amazing guy. How high is R2? He's quite big, isn't he?
He's 1.1
Oh, no,
meters high. Can you see him there?
Yeah,
we can see him. Yep.
Yep, 1.1 meters high. He's got 2 scooter motors in the bottom, 2 24-volt, 120 watt scooter motors.
Nice.
That sit in the feet.
Okay.
And then he's got powering him. I did do custom battery packs. Power delivering enough current, and then when they went flat, it just took ages to charge them up. So I changed the battery system to use 2 6-amp Ryobi batteries.
Yeah,
so I can just plug and play, and that just gives me a bit of peace of mind that the batteries won't catch on fire and burn my big plastic toy to the ground, right? The last thing you want is a fire in your plastic. But the Ryobi batteries are just a really good way to go.
Yeah, nice and simple, eh? Do you do like a hot swap where you keep one battery in and then you can swap them over?
Yeah, I've set it up so it does that. Yeah.
Nice.
Very cool.
But it's easy enough to turn back on as well, right? You just a few switches and stuff. And the Arduino code just boots up, right?
What's because we helped you transport R2. What's he like to transport when you go into all these different events? Like I know that you do quite a lot of functions like Middlemore Hospital and charity type events like that, which are very great causes and things like that. That's right.
Yeah. So getting him around was a priority that it was simple.
Right.
You can see there's a carry case.
Oh here.
So the dome fits in there. Keeps that safe, and then I've got a big wooden skid in the other room, and then R2 just sits on that flat. Then the skid sits on top of this hard case, and then I can just push the whole lot along, which is really handy. You go to Armageddon, and from parking your car to getting where you need to be, sometimes it can be 300 or 400 meters, right?
Right.
And it's not like the movies. He doesn't like little rocks and uneven surfaces, right? That's just going to give the motoring system a bad time. So having them easy to move around is key. Although it still is a 2-person job to get them out of my truck. But often I have one of my boys with me to do that, and it's easy. Seems easy enough to recruit helpers.
Yeah. Everybody wants
the trunk open, and there's an R2 there, right? Especially at Armageddon.
Yeah, pretty cool. And we have to ask, what's your little friend there, the Mr. Cat that's walking around? What's his name?
This is Foxy the cat. Yeah, Foxy.
Oh, hi, Foxy.
His first name was going to be Sandwich, but that was a 4-year-old name. But he's ended up with Foxy. But yeah, he's a loyal companion.
Nice.
Keeps
I bet
R2 gets along well with him.
No. Do you have a volume
That's right.
control? Do you have a volume control on R2 to increase or decrease the volume when you're speaking?
So inside there's a full amplifier, right?
Okay.
And then there's 2 speakers in behind the front vents. So there's volume control, there's bass treble as well. So at Armageddon, I turn it up. And,
nice.
Because there's just so many people and so much noise.
Yeah.
But
there is.
if we go to the hospital, we'll turn it down a bit, right?
Sure.
But the neat is really good for the sound, right? It sort of contains the sound like a speaker case would do, right? So the speakers are a decent quality.
So
when he's making his sounds, right? Which is kind of fun, because that emotion that R2 sort of lives with his sound is something that we're all sort of connected with the Star Wars movies, right? So that
Yeah.
Very true. Very cool. He's really cool. Very cool.
No, it's fine.
Yeah.
Yeah. If anyone wants to see him, they have to how can they get in contact with you for upcoming events that you might be able to? Or
why don't we put the build log in the chat?
okay.
And people
we'll
can contact me there.
That's a good idea.
Want to see R2 and they're in Auckland, come to Armageddon on Sunday.
There you go.
R2 will be there with the Star Wars guys from 9ish to at least midday.
There you go, guys. Make sure you turn up to see.
And I can give
and John.
And anyone that's super keen, I can take the dome off and show inside as well, and give a bit of a tour of all the systems.
That's true. And when we say Auckland, we mean Auckland, New Zealand.
Auckland, New Zealand. That's right.
Yeah. So no, it's cool. Very cool. And I got a question. Where do you source all your parts from, John? There's a lot of 3D printing, but there's a lot of electronics. I was just saying, where do you get all your parts from?
All the parts.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So all over.
Yeah. Sure.
Everyone has
Yeah.
versus trade. Find the best price for stuff too. I mean,
That's true.
Ends up costing quite a lot of money, right? There's
Sure.
35
adds up.
kilograms worth of plastic. There's a Lazy Susan. There's the Arduinos. There's all of the mistakes. There's the blue magic smoke, which invariably happens, right, when you when you wire up things the wrong way, right? So, but that's part of the learning. Yeah. So the parts all over, Amazon, AliExpress, Banggood, local trade meet, Surplus Electronics guys, all sorts.
Right. Yeah.
And actually, we also won another Nano Jetson. We won a NVIDIA Make competition as well. So we got an extra Jetson, which I don't know. I may use that Jetsons in Wally.
Nice.
I'll see how I go with whether that's actually useful for Wally. Yeah. So moving into the next project, somewhat easier because I just know what I'm up for with building something like this.
There now.
Respect.
Yeah, and I also have, when you're buying components, you forget what you've ordered, so you end up buying another set, right? So, hey, I can tell my wife that Wally's, it's almost free, right? It's not going to cost anything.
That's the one. And we've got a couple of questions for you there, John. Zombie Hunter says, did you have any trouble getting the Sabertooth and Sin 10?
Yes, the Sabertooth took ages, and the Siren, so they are motor controllers, those two things. There's the Siren. The Siren is a motor controller for the dome. I think I got that one all right, but the Sabertooth had something like a 14-week lead time.
Oh wow! Okay.
They're not making enough of them, and maybe pretty much bulletproof. It does. It's a kit that that everyone knows how to code up as well.
Right. Well, it's at least you got it was well worth the wait. How about that?
That's for sure.
That's right. And while you're waiting for your parts, there's always something else to do with a big project like this, right?
Right.
Yeah.
And what happens is when you're working on it and then you hit like a problem, you know, often you just leave the problem and go and work on something else and then come back with a fresh mind, you know, a day or a few days later, right?
Yeah.
And then attack it.
Yeah.
Did R2 with my youngest boy, and he was about 12 when we started. So R2's he was a 3-year project, about an hour a day, so it's a 1,000-hour project.
Yeah.
But I couldn't have done it without my boy, because you know, we constantly had things coming off the printer, so I needed to be clearing the printer, slicing the new files, getting them up there.
Yeah.
You know, so I think our printer was a pretty basic Ender 5, was running for I don't know, almost a year, you know, non-stop, apart from breakdowns, you know, printing parts. So having two of us, you know, slicing the files, getting them off the bed, and then the sanding and the prepping the files, that's pretty tedious and time consuming too, right? You know, to get that kind of finish across the body, and particularly the dome, just takes an immense amount of work. So this dome is actually sanded back to, I think I used like 2000 grit on the final finish, and then a rub and buff product, which is like a jewelry product to give it that aluminium look there, right?
Because I remember seeing it in person, it was super, super shiny.
Yeah, and that's, you know, you have to have it like that. If you're going to do it, you've got to make it, you know, look like the real thing. Otherwise, it's, you know, it's just off. And you can't have that if you're going to spend 1,000 hours doing it, right? But this is his second dome. To upstairs, I was putting a shelf up, and my wife came back from a trip, and I had the shelf just leaning against the wall, and we were testing it. R2 was in front. You know where the story's going to go, right?
Yeah.
And I hadn't secured it. We were watching TV one night, and the shelf just fell and crushed R2. It landed on his head, crushed the dome, broke the axles, and a few other bits and pieces. So this is dome number 2. The first dome was actually amazing, right? And if you look closely, I kind of ran out of steam in a few parts of, you know, the final finish, because it was the second time. But I tell you, I almost threw up when I saw the shelf crush. It's a special feeling.
That's cool. What the props is, Mike. He says he's been a few times with the Magic Smoke for sure. And Zombie Hunter says the Sabertooth was a nightmare to get during COVID. Wow, I bet, for sure. Parts were really hard to get.
Yes. Yeah, fortunately, it's a lot.
Yeah, nothing's for free. Nothing's for free, sadly. But,
as well, and the
iconic.
You know, the twinkle of his insides.
It's iconic, definitely.
And what sort of events have you been to recently? I know obviously we're going to Armageddon on Sunday, which is very, very close. But what was the last event that R2 and yourself have been to?
Well, we had the Creality event, right? And then before that, we had R2 was a ring bearer for a friend's wedding. They all got dressed. The groom kid and R2 came down the church, and he actually did it. Yeah, he's done 2 weddings now. He's two weddings. What else? He's done the hospital trips. We're probably due for another hospital trip out to Middlemore.
Okay.
That's
cool. I'm
that's
sure
a
that
great thing. Great,
like that.
great fun to do. The kids just get beside themselves, and the staff too, right? So
Absolutely.
that just gives everyone just a couple hours just of distraction.
Yeah.
Which is just fabulous for the kids, right? Takes their minds off whatever is going on with them.
Yeah.
What else have we done?
Super helpful.
Yeah. Have you been to the Stardome there, John?
Oh yeah, that's right. The Stardome. That was that was only a few weeks ago too. That was for May the 4th. Yeah. So R2 was a guest there, and he was there for the afternoon. R2 tells me that he enjoyed that, and he wants to go next year as well. So he'll be at the next year for that event too.
Nice.
There you go. I mean, those are some pretty big events that we're talking about. I mean, even your friend's wedding, that's a big event for them, right?
Yeah.
And obviously the hospitals and things like that. It's awesome.
It means a lot, those sorts of events, when something like an R2 or something like takes the time to go and do that. It's pretty cool.
Attend those type of events. It's very special, especially
so you're not feeling 100%.
That's right. Yeah.
Can imagine.
He's a crowd pleaser every time, I tell you.
No.
Yeah. He's mobbed. He loves the attention. Loves the attention.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. And John, I forgot to ask, what's your favorite movie? Is it a Star Wars one? It doesn't have to be. Just your favorite movie.
Of all movies?
Yeah.
Look, Interstellar's a good one. I love Interstellar because it really shows, well, accurately the time dilation. And it sort of bases itself on tech that we've pretty much almost got, right? Rather than being another universe like Star Wars, where it's that much further away. I actually have Tars as well.
That's right.
Tars from Interstellar. He's in a box at the moment. I got him talking and using the voice from the actor.
Yeah. Oh wow!
But mechanically, I couldn't get all the mechanics going because I ran out of space because of the Raspberry Pi, and the battery system took up too much space. But that was a fun project too, because again, a really clever young guy, Charlie, in the States, had the body for 3D printing mechanism.
Okay.
And then I took the next step of doing the conversational element with Tars.
Yeah.
So
Cool.
I did that over about 4 or 5 months using ChatGPT, and I was doing what is now called vibe coding, where you put in, I need a conversational platform running on a Raspberry Pi. I want to give me the starter code for that. Boom, and it gives you the starter code. You put it in your IDE and you test that, and it throws up some bugs, and you go backwards and forwards, and then you start adding more and more functionality, right?
Trial and error. Yeah.
So I got about 2,500 lines of code just by doing that, and I didn't write any code myself, and had a functional conversational experience. And I used the API 11 Labs, so you can take 2 or more minutes of someone talking, and then that'll give you your text-to-speech function for whatever robot you want, right? So that was a super interesting software project on top of the 3D printing robot experience as well.
That's right.
So
I was going to say,
to give Wally a bit more interaction as well.
Yeah.
And how big will Wally be in comparison to R2D2? Because he was 1.30 m, was it 1 meter?
Yeah, R2's 110.
110, sorry. Yeah.
Wally, that's a good question. Maybe about this high. I'll show you his head.
Sure.
Get an idea.
Oh yeah, I can see it.
Oh wow. Okay.
There's the head, right?
Yeah, the big eyes. Yeah.
So that gives you, and over here, there are the eyes that'll zoom in and out.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. For Wally, it's all in his eyes, right?
It is.
If you get the eyes right, I
wow, cool.
The expression is key with him, and like R2, Wally doesn't say very much as well. His expression are his little giggles and his little kind of grunts and things, right? So if you can get the eyes right, you really cast a spell with the audience.
Right. Yeah. No, it'd be very cool. Very cool to see Wally up and running around.
Yeah, he's probably a 2-year project, I think. We'll see how we go.
Yeah, good to take time. Yeah, for sure.
With Mike and I doing it together, maybe we can go a little faster. Having someone in the city doing the same project is got to be helpful.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And what else can we ask you? Is there any questions that you want to ask us, John? Well, I think about another question.
Yes. So when I see you guys with your 3D printing, what sort of level of electronics understanding have you got? I see you were talking about the firmware update there, and firmware updates can be a nightmare, right? What's your level of coding and sort of firmware and OS experience?
We did C++ at uni, but
right.
I would say minimal.
Minimal for that side. Our speciality is, I guess you'd say, UAVs. So they've got their own style of what we call flight controllers and things like that.
Yes.
So it's less about coding, more about getting the right configuration numbers. You got to look at a whole lot of charts and work it out and
graphs. Right. And we generally mainly use Autopilot, which is kind of like the industrial standard of drone manufacturing.
Yeah,
it's an open source platform, but it's quite diverse about what you can do, and if it can't do it, you can change. You can write the program to make it do whatever you want, which is quite interesting.
Right. And are you using ChatGPT to help you when you have problems with that and with other parts of the project?
No. We just I guess we just kind of know that stuff. We've got to that where we mainly know most for our field of what we're doing.
Yes.
I guess if we had a problem, we would go to the Autopilot page, the equivalent of like a wiki page.
Yes, got it.
Yeah, but that's kind of us. I guess one day it would be quite cool to do the Chat GP and Raspberry Pis and those sorts of things.
But it's just a case of putting time aside.
Time. That's right. That's right. Time. That's our commodity, isn't it?
Yeah. But yes, we always try and do the best we can, just like you do it clearly with all your great projects, I'm sure. Very cool.
And for those people who don't know, John was the winner of Creality Share Fest with R2D2.
There were some really good entries, though, right? It was
epic.
Yeah, it wasn't a clear win. There was the other entries were pretty amazing, right?
Yeah.
And R2 was pretty pleased to win that.
Yeah, it was very cool. And how was, I think you won a printer.
The printer, and you change it for a scanner.
Oh yeah, and the scanner. Yeah, and have you used that the scanner?
It took me a little while to get the firmware sorted out, right? Because you needed an Android device to do that, and I didn't. Anyway, I finally got that sorted. But then you needed a really fast computer to run it, right? So I had to go and buy a new computer to run it. So I've got it working, but I haven't scanned anything yet.
Okay.
I'm ready to go when there's something to scan. We'll see whether the novelty lasts, right? It may end up on trade. I don't know.
Well, if you don't want it, I'm sure we've got a use for it one day.
Okay, right, there we go.
And Mike says, he says, "No, John, well deserved." There you go. So he's talking about your win. He's talking about your win there. So that was nice.
Cool. Thanks, Mike.
Yeah. Any other questions that you can think of, Jim?
I can't think of anything. I think you've covered most of the topics.
Is there anybody out there that want to ask a specific question? You're welcome to do so on the chat. But it's either way. It's if I think of something I might do in a second. But either way, it's been an honor to have you on the channel.
Oh, thank you. Great to be here. And why don't we'll do another session when Wally starts taking shape.
Yeah.
And we could dive into how he is constructed, the construction process.
Yeah.
All of the nuance of that, and maybe we can have Mike on that too. We could do two Wallys, a story of two, right?
Yeah.
Sounds epic already.
Looking forward to it.
Yeah, very cool. Yeah, I think we'll leave it there. It gives people out there interested in R2 and droid builders out there, you know, what you can do, what it takes of heaps of perseverance, and yeah, there you go.
That's right, and we'll put a link after the live stream's finished, and we'll put a link into where you can to the R2D2 droid builders, which is what John is attached to. And remember, you can go and see him live and in person with R2D2
on the weekend at
Armageddon on Sunday in Auckland.
There you go.
All right, guys, great to see you.
That's right. I'll just grab our little sign out thing. It's thanks very much, John. We really appreciate it, and thanks for bringing R2 along.
Pleasure.
Very cool. And we'll do our little sign out. And thanks once again, everyone. We appreciate it very much. Just like everything. I'm Harry.
I'm Richard, and we have the special guest to John Ferguson and R2D2 from Star Wars.
There you go.
Pretty cool.
Thanks
to everybody who joined in, past, present, and future. We need to thank all our sponsors and
thank John. So thank you, John.
Once again, sign up for go.
There you go. Thanks, R2. Okay, guys, we'll see each other next week. And 3, 2, 1, go. Yeah. See you guys. See you next week. And thanks, everyone.